All right, Knicks fans, we got some real roster news to break down today, and I've got opinions. So stick with me, because this one matters more than people are giving it credit for. Let's start with the big one. Jordan Clarkson is staying in New York. One more year, right around $3.9 million. And look, my gut reaction? Relief. Genuine relief. Because after everything this roster went through to finally get over the hump last season, the last thing we needed was front office chaos in the middle of summer. Clarkson knows his role. He comes off that bench. He gets buckets when the starters need a breather. And honestly, a guy who's already won Sixth Man of the Year somewhere else doesn't need to prove anything to anybody in that locker room. He's earned his spot. But, and this is where I get a little fired up, I need you all to actually sit with what this guy's been through to get here. Bouncing around the league for years. Lakers didn't work out long term. Cleveland, Utah, all these stops before he landed in New York. And now he's got a championship ring with his franchise, the first one since 1973. Say that number out loud again. 1973. Clarkson is now permanently written into Knicks history. And if you're a fan who's been sitting through decades of mediocrity like I have, that hits different. Now, before I keep going, hit that like button right now if you're rocking with Clarkson coming back for another year. I want to see how many of you are actually paying attention to these depth moves, because casual fans only care about the big trades. And that's exactly why they miss half the story. Now here's where things get interesting, and honestly a little tense if you ask me. The Knicks aren't done. There's one roster spot left, and the front office is reportedly circling another center. Now stop and think about this for a second. We already brought in Andre Drummond on a one-year minimum deal after Mitchell Robinson bounced to Boston, and I still have thoughts about that departure, but that's a rant for another day. So now the front office is looking at Nick Richards for that final spot. And look, I get the logic. You want size. You want a traditional big man who can bang in the paint behind Drummond. Because let's be real, this front court got exposed at times last year when things got physical. Richards spent this past season bouncing between Phoenix and Chicago, putting up modest numbers. Under 6 points, about 5 board a night, but shooting over 50% from the field. That efficiency matters. A guy who doesn't force bad shots, just does his job, rebounds, protects the rim a little. That's exactly the kind of depth piece championship teams stash on the bench for the games that get ugly in March and April. But here's my honest, slightly annoyed take. Are we really about to go into title defense mode with our depth built around minimum contract reclamation project at center? I want this front office to be aggressive. I want them hunting difference makers, not just filling out a roster with serviceable bodies. Now, is Richards a bad pickup? No. Genuinely, no. He's a smart, low-risk move. But part of me, the stubborn, impatient part of every die-hard Knicks fan, wants more swings taken this summer. We just won it all. Doesn't that buy us the right to be a little greedy? Drop a comment right now and tell me straight up. Are you comfortable with Richards rounding out this roster, or do you think the front office should still be hunting bigger names before the deadline hits? I read these comments. I actually want to know where the fan base stands on this one. Let's zoom out for a second, because I think this whole situation says something bigger about where this franchise is right now. For years, Knicks fans have been conditioned to expect disappointment. Every offseason move got picked apart. Every free agency swing felt like it was going to blow up in our faces. But this year feels different. This year, guys actually want to be here. Guys are taking pay cuts to stay. Clarkson could probably chase a bigger role somewhere else, and instead he's choosing to run it back with this group at Madison Square Garden, chasing another banner. That's not nothing. That's a culture shift, and it didn't happen by accident. And that's exactly why I get a little defensive when people act like these bench moves don't matter. Championship rosters aren't just built on stars. They're built on continuity, chemistry, guys who know their role and embrace it instead of complaining for more shots. Clarkson embodies that. If Richards comes in and does the same, quietly, professionally, no ego, that's a win, even if it doesn't feel flashy in July. All right, before I wrap this one up, if you made it this far, you're clearly a real one. So smash that like button and drop a comment telling me who you think takes that final roster spot if it isn't Richards. Also, if you haven't already, hit subscribe, because this offseason is going to keep moving fast. And I'm breaking down every single move as it happens. No fluff, no filler, just straight honest Knicks talk. So that's where things stand right now. Clarkson's back, Drummond's in, and the front office is still working the phones for one more piece up front. As always, I want to hear your take. Are you fully on board with this direction, or do you think the front office needs to be more aggressive before training camp opens? Let me know down below. Like this video if you want more of these breakdowns, and I'll see you in the next one.